Today, Rick Ness can be recognized as a daring character from Discovery Channel's Gold Rush. But despite the notoriety, among the glistening gold and rumbling equipment, there is a tale of triumph over adversity. His path does not consist merely of extracting water from the earth. A man musters the will to emerge from the shadows, bearing the burden of unfathomable tragedy and discovering resilience at a time when all hope seemed lost. A childhood characterized by growing apart. In Escanaba, Michigan, on March 5, 1981, Rick Ness and his twin brother Randy were born. When he was a little boy, his parents, Judy Marie Batted and Richard Ness, divorced. A lot of people feel the most secure and loved during their youth. However, the breakup of his family rocked Rick's formative years. In 2003, Rick followed in his mother's footsteps and moved to Rhinelander, Michigan. The connection he had with Judy, which would eventually become his life's most tragic event, was the bedrock upon which his entire existence rested. As a kid growing up in Rick's father's construction company, he was always surrounded by the noise and dirt of the job. He had no idea that his formative years would set him up for success in the Yukon when he looked back on them. But life, as it turned out, had other intentions. My aspirations were abruptly dashed. When Rick was a teenager, he was full of life and drive. He attended Escanaba Area High School and played football as a student athlete in 1999, dreaming of a career in professional football. The game was his life. A brain injury, though, put a neat twist on things by instantly ending his dream. This was a tragic setback for a young kid who looked to football as a path to a better life. Sadly, it's a constant reminder that the things you hold dear can disappear in an instant. Rick, determined not to let a single defeat define him, found solace in music. He joined the 357-string band in 2003 and took up bass. After releasing 3 albums and going on a world tour, the band had modest success. Rick appeared to have discovered a fresh route for a while. In his heart, though, he was still yearning for more, for an opportunity to channel his boundless enthusiasm and resolve into something meaningful. Fate intervened, altering the course of events. That chance encounter was totally out of the blue. Rick met a young prospector called Parker Schnabel at the Southeast Alaska State Fair. Rick drew Parker's attention despite his lack of mining experience due to his history with heavy equipment and his evident determination. Parker extended an opportunity to join his crew a few months down the road. Gold Rush welcomed Rick in Season 3. Initially, I operated rock trucks and excavators. He became Parker's trusted assistant due to his indefatigable work ethic. The audience adored his noosel flair, sense of humor, and determination. After some time, he was given the responsibility of overseeing Parker's Indian River operation as a foreman. But there were challenges that came with being a leader. Additionally, Rick was compelled to contemplate going it alone following a financially detrimental error that enraged Parker. Then he did it. Rick Ness established his independent mining crew in Season 9. He defied all expectations and became the first-year mine boss to ever produce more gold than any previous operator. It was as if someone had finally shown Rick that he could be independent and not need anyone else's support. He was devastated by the loss. Fans couldn't see Rick's struggle happening behind the scenes, but he was doing it nonetheless. Judy, his dear mother, lost her fight with cancer on March 20, 2018 at the young age of 55. After spending 15 years with her, Rick let her go due to a flaw in a void that could never be filled. After the fact, Rick said he never got the opportunity to grieve properly. Everything changed. Moving ahead, but he couldn't let go of the past. He was driven into a downward spiral by the anguish of losing the person who meant the world to him. As melancholy set in, narcotics became a crutch to ease the crushing loss. It was a plunge into the shadows that almost swallowed up the man who had always been courageous, self-reliant, and proud. The house itself became a spectral symbol of the tragedy. The thought of walking through the front door gave Rick the willies for a long time. The memories attached to each room's furnishings were heavy. After much internal struggle, he finally sold the house, packed up his mother's possessions with the exception of a few priceless pieces, and faced the music. Although it was a difficult decision, Rick told himself it was necessary for his future. In his mind, he was telling himself that his mom would want him to start over with a house. It was more than a financial decision, though. Even though it was his last farewell, he was never prepared to say goodbye. Rick had already left the program by the time Gold Rush's 13th season came around. A kind of depression known as seasonal affective disorder, which the doctors suspected he was experiencing, causes a person to lose interest in activities they used to enjoy. A deeper truth, nevertheless, was known to Rick. Everything fell apart at once: his mother's death, years of unresolved grief, the emotional and financial collapse that followed, and the self-destructive decisions he had taken. Admitting weakness was more difficult than confronting the merciless Yukon, according to Rick. He was taught from an early age that men should never beg for assistance. That hush almost killed him. But Rick chose to be forthright instead of hiding. His troubles, despair, addiction, and lack of self-confidence were all openly acknowledged. And it was in that candor that he started to mend. Gold Rush enthusiasts speculated and rumored about Rick Ness's transformation. Rick Ness, the reality star who went from being a minor to a fan favorite, underwent a noticeable transformation when Gold Rush season 15 began. Although Ness has been a recognizable face on the Discovery series for a long time, sharp-witted watchers noticed that his nose looked different. This small but noticeable change has since sparked discussions, theories, and rumors among fan communities. Season 14 marked the return of Ness, and viewers were both relieved and intrigued. Those same viewers started mentioning the lack of modifications to his appearance in Season 15. People started talking about his nose in particular, and some speculated that it might be due to an injury, a medical condition, or something else entirely. Even if Ness hasn't spoken out about the changes, we must acknowledge the struggles he's endured on a personal level. Ness has been forthright about how the loss of his mother in 2018 pushed him into a downward spiral of despair, and the pain that remained unhealed is evident in his words. He said that he battled with low self-esteem, withdrawing from others, and substance abuse as he attempted to manage the immense loss. As a result of the mental and physical toll that dealing with such intense emotions can take, mental health issues, unhealthy routines, and the physically demanding nature of gold mining can all lead to noticeable physical changes. For Ness, who has spent the better part of a decade performing for cameras, when people are watching, even little discrepancies become more noticeable. Another thing to keep in mind is that Rick Ness is currently in his mid-40s. Skin tone, weight distribution, and face structure can alter with natural aging, just like it does for everyone else. Working long hours in dangerous conditions is typical of the mining industry. This, along with Ness's weight swings throughout the years, explains why he may appear different now than in the first few seasons of Gold Rush. The public is increasingly wondering why Rick Ness underwent such drastic bodily alterations, but he has remained mum on the matter. Fans are left to guess in the absence of an official announcement. Some people think that when people don't say anything, rumors start to flow. Others see it as a sign that Ness deserves his space after what he's been through. It doesn't matter why Rick Ness changed. What matters is that he did. Resilience has always been a theme in his story. He has endured a harrowing path to mental illness, financial ruin, and emotional catastrophe. Nevertheless, he persists in battling for his recovery. His supporters may have noticed a change in his appearance, but they can still see the same grit and resolve that made him a Gold Rush fan favorite. Ultimately, Rick Ness's story shows how every person's life is unique and has its own imprint. Some lying around, some not. Those alterations are more than skin deep for Ness. These marks represent the perseverance, strength, and determination to overcome adversity, find redemption, and come back stronger than before. Returning wasn't an easy feat. At times, long-buried issues reared their ugly heads. In the face of repeated mining setbacks, Rick clung to a single truth. He was capable of repeating his previous success. He drew strength from his belief, which served as an anchor. Balance is the secret to Rick's rehabilitation, he claims. Being able to hold one's ground and show one's vulnerability at the same time. With that equilibrium, he gained insight. It inspired him to return to the limelight and gave him a sense of direction in life. In Gold Rush Season 15, viewers saw Rick Ness as more than just a miner. They witnessed a guy who had persevered and emerged stronger from the depths of despair. There was more to his season's triumph than just winning gold. The central theme was redemption. Evidence that it is feasible to rebuild ounce by ounce, even when life smashes everything you've constructed. The mining industry is just one aspect of Rick Ness's story. Morality is at the heart of the matter. Tragedies that could have crushed anyone have befallen Rick, including his parents' divorce, the demise of his mother, the demise of his football goals, and his struggle with depression. Still, he has managed to get back up every time. He wears his scars proudly. By taking them on, he demonstrates that resilience does not mean living pain-free. The ability to persevere despite obstacles is what it is all about. Though he plays a supporting role on Gold Rush, Rick Ness's greatest achievement is the unwavering determination he has found inside himself to endure, persevere, and live.